Today we continue this series of reflections on the I am statements of Jesus in the Gospel of John, and we continue with I am the way and the truth and the life, which is in John chapter 14. Now, this is a verse which is often quoted out of context to support an exclusivist idea of belief in Jesus, and it's sometimes summed up in the Billboard slogan, "No Jesus, no life, no Jesus, no life," as in K-N-O-W Jesus, K-N-O-W life, and N-O Jesus, N-O life. In other words, there are some people who are in and some people who are out because they don't know Jesus as the way, the truth, and the life. Now, while I certainly believe that to know Jesus is to know life, what Jesus is saying here is not about innies and outies, but something else entirely. He's speaking to his close disciples, people who have lived with, travelled with, eaten with, slept with Jesus, and learned from him. The assumption is that they already know him. They know him as a friend, and they know him quite well. They're his close friends, his buddies. So he's speaking intimately to them, and by extension to those who hear or read these words. Those who believe in him, those who are seeking already, and not at all addressing the question of who is to be saved in a global sense. So what is Jesus addressing in these words? Well, immediately before this, Jesus has been talking about how he's going ahead of them to prepare a place for them in the Father's house. That's an evocative image or metaphor. The idea that beyond death are the mansions of heaven, and Jesus has plumped up the pillows in our very own suite set aside just for us. Now, that's not quite what he means either. The idea of the Father's house is not to be taken literally. It's about a state of being, a state of connection. A little bit like the houses in a school to which you belong and in which you compete doing sports or drama or whatever. Or it might be a bit like belonging to the House of Windsor if you are Prince Charles, Prince Harry or Prince William. Being part of the Father's house is a state of belonging, a state of being protected, having a place to be with others who are also part of the household. There are many ways of belonging in this house, and that this makes sense of Jesus going on immediately after this pronouncement to say that the disciples know the Father because they know Jesus himself. He's the Son who shares the Father's essence, and talking to and interacting with him, it's as if the disciples are interacting with Jesus' Father. It also begins to unpack what Jesus means when he says he is the way, the truth, and the life. It's in knowing Jesus that we find ourselves in his Father's house. The way is knowing Jesus. The truth is taking him at his word, doing what he says, doing what he did, which was the Father's will. And this is life. When we do these things, we know Jesus. We know his life active in us. In him, caught up in his life, we are part of the household of God. And more than that, because Jesus goes on to talk about abiding in him as he abides in the Father. So in Jesus, the way, the truth, and the life, we come to share in the life of God. That's pretty breathtaking. Felicity, who preached recently, put it beautifully. She said, "We are Jesus' gift to the Father and the Father's gift to the Son." That's why Jesus, in this last conversation with his disciples, is trying to get them to understand the connection between him and them, the organic, breathing, living, life-giving thing it is to be united with him and in him and through him. May Jesus' life-giving presence fill your heart this day.